I need to understand the quality of my investment, not at what the quantity is at the moment.
Wherever it is that you're investing, study, know what it is that you're doing, and don't let like a couple of numbers shake you to the core. That's not the whole picture. When it comes to investment, situations around what's happening in the world, what's happening in the markets, all of it matters. But if you consistently, as you said, are studying in the quality of the investments that you're making, you just gotta keep at it.
Hello and welcome to the Compounding Mindset by Axis Mutual Fund. I'm Ashdin Doctor and I'm going to be a habit coach, and with us we have Paridhi, who's a movement and fitness coach. Now what's interesting is today we're going to be talking about tracking things. So Paridhi, now in the world of movement and fitness, there's this one number that gets thrown around everywhere. It's this 10,000 step number. What are your thoughts on this 10,000 step number?
It's an interesting question because tracking has become a big deal over the past couple of years. You see people with all sorts of fitness trackers on their body. There are garments which allow you to keep your fitness trackers in them. So it's really all over the
Our
space.
phones.
Our phones, we walk with them, you sleep and your phone detects you sleep. So it's really all over the world right now, and across everyone's life, we've been tracking something or the other. I myself have been using a tracker for, I guess, 7 odd years now. And the way my journey has gone over with tracking is, of course, you live and you learn. You become super, super obsessed with what the tracker is showing. So you change your entire life around it, only to later realize that, okay, you got to put in a little bit of intuition, a little bit of what you are feeling also on it. This entire phenomena of 10K steps started because people wanted to promote movement. They've forgotten what it started for, and now we have become so obsessed behind the number of 10K that we forget what the idea behind it is. The idea behind isn't, hey, you sat the entire day, did not move, meeting after meeting, meeting after meeting, but now you're going to rush for that 45-minute walk so that you can cover up those 5K steps towards the end. But that's not why it started. It started because you should get up, move around, sit. To get that quality of life where you're actually moving through the day, that quantity of number was determined. Because studies found out that that's the sort of number that you need to be hitting to be mobile through the day, and not just running 45 minutes in the evening or going for a walk to be able to hit your steps. I think people have really forgotten what it was, and we've really started obsessing about the number and the metrics.
So focusing on the number has taken away from the principle. I was very interesting. Do you know where the 10K steps came from? So there was this one genius writer in Japan that wrote an article on 10,000 steps, where he got the number from zero research, just pulled out of thin air. That number has now been quoted all over the place. So that's actually where this 10K steps came from. And the principle behind the 10K has gone away. And I think today our topic is about this. Tracking is fantastic. Using quantitative numbers, fantastic. But what is the quality of the work that you're actually putting in that makes a difference?
In fact, there's a book out there that speaks highly about this rule of 10,000 hours, where if you want to master any craft or if you want to be really, really good at what you do, you need to spend 10,000 hours in your life to do that. But it's not about you just sitting and doing whatever in those 10,000 hours. So if you want to become a great pianist, it's about what you practice, what's the quality of that practice, and having to do so cumulatively, compoundingly over 10,000 hours is what makes you so good at your craft.
Absolutely. What is that end goal that you're doing this for? Very often that is missed out. The activity is tracked, but the goal is not tracked. The end destination is not tracked, and the way we're getting there. One of my favorite things about walking, I hate walking and I hate movement and I hate running. But I realized what I enjoy about walking is I can listen to a podcast. I can move away from this whole busy, hectic world. And I realized the best kind of walk for me is a very slow, excruciatingly painful walk. Now, most people learn about this whole brisk walking. Go in the morning for a brisk walk. All the doctors say, go in the morning for a brisk walk. And I flip it on its head and I say, go for a slow walk, almost like you're walking with like a 2-year-old. How would they walk so slowly? Because what happens is at that point of time, all the muscles have to work in order to hold you up. You're not using momentum at all. And as a result, you're actually getting more tired with that walk than you would with that brisk walk. So the quality of the walk changes with the intention behind that walk. I can do a brisk walk for maybe cardiovascular benefits, but this one I do for my sugar, I do it for my muscle growth, and the little finer muscles that often get that forgotten. That's what I use it for.
And also so much unnecessary stress, right? Because now suddenly you're not really thinking about the activity at all. You're just thinking about, oh, I need to get this out of this. So the entire point, the entire principle of you doing it in the first place, let's say if it's a walk, just going out and enjoying nature, is completely out of the question because you've placed so much load on yourself to only get it done in a certain way, stressing about how fast am I walking, am I getting in the steps, what are the steps am I getting per minute, that you've completely missed out the benefits of actually just going out and walking.
And as you know, I've just started running. I've signed up for my first 10K marathon that I'm doing for an NGO. And I realized that, my God, running is a lot of math. It's constantly measuring this, measuring that, minus this, multiplied by that. I didn't realize there was so much math in just a simple run that goes into it.
But there's so much intuition in it as well. And this is something I tell all my clients. We work on this concept sometimes called as RPE, which is called it's rate of perceived exertion. A lot of times people also call it rate of perceived effort. My 70% is, of course, an absolute number of whatever my 100% is. But on some days, my 70% may actually feel like a 90%. That's where that RPE, the concept of rate of perceived exertion, comes in. Is it feeling like a 7 on 10? Is it feeling like an 8 on 10? Tomorrow, my 8 on 10 could also feel like a 2 on 10. That, of course, denotes progress, that, of course, denotes growth. But that intuition, that feeling of listening and tuning in is also so important that a lot of people just completely miss out on it. Because if today your 2 on 10 is feeling like an 8 on 10, your CNS, your central nervous system, is still replicating that same stimulus for you without you actually pushing yourself to the brink of injury because you listened to that intuition and acted accordingly.
This is such an important point because I know in the fitness world, we are so focused on 1 rep max and 70% of 1 rep max, 50% of 1 rep max, which is your quantifiable one.
Yes.
I know that I was able to bench press 120 kilos once only. I couldn't do it a second time, so that is my 1 rep max. And then that is used as a parameter for how much effort you need to put in for the set. But the perceived one might be completely different, and that is the quality of that rep. So I might have had a late night, or I might have been tired from a previous workout. The perceived force that I'm putting in, or effort that I'm putting in, is actually a very valuable way of looking at this.
And most of the training that I end up doing for my clients is centered around that because it takes into account so much more than just numbers. It takes account how did you sleep, not just the quantity of your sleep. You must have slept for 10 hours in bed, but you must have woken up every single hour for some or the other reason. If you just look at those 10 hours, yay, green recovery, 10 hours, amazing. But you woke up every single hour. How is that quality? And then you go on and associate those numbers with another set of numbers that you are in no position to even do. It's just an endless loop of not listening to your intuition and just absolutely basing yourself on the numbers that are in front of you.
Yeah. This quality versus quantity is a big one. So when I started the habit coaching industry, I realized that most of us were tracking our sleep quantity. So we would have our diaries and we would write down 8 hours or 7.5 hours, etc. Then fitness trackers started tracking your sleep. I'm talking about 10 years ago. It was very nascent at the time. And I bought my first fitness tracker that tracks sleep. And I suddenly realized quality of sleep was dramatically different from quantity of sleep. And I got so excited, I bought 7, 8 of these trackers for all my clients at that time. And I realized there are two kinds of people. There are the ones that loved it and the other ones that obsessed about it. And it became worse for them because they were so obsessed by the numbers that they forgot to actually focus on the sleep that they were doing. And for them, I had to actually take away the tracking tool and say, now just write a diary. How do you feel this morning? And we use that as a tool instead of the actual numbers that the tracker was throwing up.
And the sleep tracking is something that's so new. And in fact, I started paying a lot more attention to it recently because I was sleeping the designated number of hours. At that point, I was also training like an athlete. So, yes, everything was like tuck, 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 like on point with everything. Still waking up tired. And I'm like, what is happening? Because I'm doing everything correctly. So, something or the other is just not fitting the bill. And that's when I realized, oh, my deep sleep, my REM sleep, my light sleep, the amount of times I've been waking up in the night, all of that matters so much more because now, when I do have the tracker and now when I can see it, I could sometimes get a 5 hour sleep, but my quality of sleep is going to be 3 hours of deep sleep plus REM. The recovery stages that help you recover better and feel better after you wake up, those were 3 hours out of five. Of course, I'm going to wake up feeling okay. So even numbers can flip themselves upside down unless you know what the quality of it is. And same with my clients. Like they always ask me that, hey, do you really think it is a good advice to invest in fitness trackers? Like, absolutely. If you are not going to obsess about the numbers. If you're going to obsess about the numbers and not listen to your intuition, it's probably a bad idea for you because you might wake up feeling amazing. You open your phone and you see, oh, I have not recovered well at all. And the day is just going to go downhill from there. Even when they come into the class telling me, hey, my recovery is just like not the best, this is what my phone says, this is what my app says. My next question is, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Do you think a caffeine boost is going to help you feel better? Yes, great. Then we're going to listen to that more than anything. And we can always tailor, and that's always an option available as you start feeling great, you don't feel too great. That's okay. Be flexible. We tailor it out.
I remember while you were talking, it suddenly reminded me of when I started investing back in the day when I got my first few salaries. And this was the time when all those online websites started showing these graphs on what the stock markets are doing. And every morning I would come and I would open the stock markets and say, oh my God, I made this much money. Oh my God, I lost this much money. And as the tracking was happening, it was a constant anxiety feeling that I was getting. This is something that I realized after a while was very, very detrimental. Because what I realized was I was making poor quality decisions with the highs and the lows, tracking it every single day. So, what I realized was I need to understand the quality of my investment, not at what the quantity is at the moment. What is the quality of either the business that I'm investing in or the tools that I'm investing in? And then understand that and put my faith and trust in the quality of that decision instead of just the numbers that I'm putting in.
And doing so consistently because things are not working in isolation, right? There are so many things around it. When it comes to investment, situations around what's happening in the world, what's happening in the markets, all of it matters. But if you consistently, as you said, are studying in the quality of the investments that you're making, you just got to keep at it and not try to make fickle decisions because, well, you don't have the whole picture and certain numbers are really stressing you out. I think this is one of those questions when I started investing and I started listening and taking my father's help to do these things. I would see a red and I would be like, entire portfolio is down. And my father would just look at me and laugh like, that's okay. It's not working in isolation. You keep doing what you're doing and it's going to compound and come back up. I used to be so stressed looking at a red sign anywhere. And my father always used to say, wherever it is that you're investing, study, know what it is that you're doing, and don't let like a couple of numbers shake you to the core. That's not the whole picture.
You look at that red line and you say, oh, all my salary is gone.
Everything's gone. I don't know what's going to happen with this now.
And
All
then
the
that
time.
puts that panic selling. Oh my God, I need to sell it before it goes lesser. All those things, I think, create this fear in our system. Instead, like you have your father who you trust, find somebody that you trust with this. Take advice from them and understand that you're making and focusing on the quality of the decision, not just only on the number that it is at right now, or you think it'll be in the future, or it was in the past. You're looking at something that is far more long term. Your finances are your lifestyle. It's about a life that you're building with your finances, not about a temporary thing that you're just measuring and tracking.
And numbers can also be really helpful if you read them correctly, if you know what they stand for. And somebody told me this, right? Good or bad, it's information. So read it correctly, learn from it, and then make a decision if you want to stay on track or you want to do better. It's information at the end of the day, so you need to treat it like that.
Yeah. And also the quality of the numbers is important.
Very important.
You buy a fitness tracker that is not a good quality number and it throws strange numbers at you. You're like, no, this can't be it, right? Especially heart rate monitors right now. If they're constantly showing you the wrong heart rate, you're going to be in a state of panic. I had one that was constantly showing me at 42 beats a minute. And I know that I'm not that much of an athlete that I have a 42 beats per minute heart rate. So I realized that the quality of the numbers that you're gathering makes a big difference. So where you're getting those numbers from, how you measure it. In the business world, we use OKRs or KRAs.
Correct.
And the way that you measure those KRAs and OKRs are also important. You might put a number goal in it, but is that the right number that you should be actually looking at or something else? We might put a turnover goal when actually it is, your client retention,
Correct.
which is far more important than the turnover at this point of time in your company's growth. So are you measuring the right thing for the current situation? I think makes a big difference.
Have a credible source. First thing that we learned in college, especially with research, all our professors said you put there a name of a website that's not credible, I'm scrapping out the entire research. That's where I learned the importance of credible sources. So, really important to know where that information is coming from and what to take in, what not to take in, and what to do so with a tiny pinch of salt as well. Very important.
When I was in school, and I'm now like really showing my age. When I was in school, we used to have encyclopedias where we used to get our information from. Then suddenly the internet came. And we used to actually put source, internet. Because we didn't know what websites to put in or how we were supposed to define anything. Internet was one of the sources along with the bibliography and the
Absolutely credible. You wrote internet there.
internet. And you can trust everything on the internet, correct?
Search it for yourself.
Okay, so Paridhi, tell me, what is one habit that you definitely track?
Sleep. And I've made big changes in my life as well to make sure that my quality as well as my quantity of sleep is right there. But I also do track that with a little bit of how I'm feeling when I get up in the morning. So not just getting up in the morning and just directly looking at my phone. That's not what I do anymore.
How was my sleep? Oh no.
I got freaked out so much and so many times when I woke up with my red recoveries showing up. I'm like, no. You get up, you do your morning routine, you get to your studio, you start your work, and you're like, how am I feeling now? And then go look at the numbers so that there's never like a misconceived notion of who you are and what you are in that morning versus what the numbers are saying. What is the one thing that you track, Ashton?
I used to love tracking my sleep, and I keep telling my clients, if you don't want to wear something, at least put a diary and just say, how am I feeling today? That how am I feeling today is a great way of at least tracking qualitatively the thing. What I love tracking is HRV. So HRV basically is heart rate variability. So normally when we take our pulse, we measure how many heartbeats per minute, so 65 or 75. Heart rate variability is actually in between each pulse, there's a slight change. This pulse was 0.5 microseconds. This one was 0.8 microseconds. What we're actually looking for is a high rate of variability. Normally we think that, oh no, it needs to be all baseline and standard. No, baseline and standard, not good. Because we want that variability because it varies with our breathing, it varies with the way that we are thinking and our thoughts. So maintaining that, especially when you're tracking it, is important.
And especially that when you're sleeping, a high HRV is great. But again, numbers always tell a story. So you're probably not going to have a high HRV when you're working out or you're doing anything stressful because your heart's going to be beating faster. So again, numbers, you got to read them. That's information right there.
And when you're meditating, HRV again is different. So it's very interesting to see how it goes. That's why you need that baseline just when you wake up, when everything is status quo. Now, HRV has become very common. It comes in all your rings and your watches and everything. But when I started tracking HRV, at that point of time, you had to get this device that you clipped onto your earlobe every morning. And you had to lie down in bed and breathe in a particular way for it to take an accurate measurement of that snapshot of your morning HRV. And then that would tell you how your parasympathetic system or sympathetic system has recovered. Now, what are these two systems in our bodies? The sympathetic is the fight or flight response that we have, and the parasympathetic is the rest or digest. Now, what you want ideally is a good balance between the two. You don't want to be leaning too much sympathetic or too much parasympathetic. And I've had some amazing results from using this HRV. There was this one time that I woke up feeling completely fine, like I'm the king of the world. And I saw my HRV reading and it was super low and I couldn't figure this out. So I went to office. That afternoon, I was sick and I came back from office. So this had predicted what was actually happening inside of me. And there were so many little case studies like this that HRV became one of those things that I always want to track and understand where I stand in my body. Because there's no actual way of measuring stress. This is one of the better stress measurement tools that are there.
Absolutely. And especially like when it comes to women, through the month as well, their HRV keeps on changing depending upon what part of their cycle they are in, which is absolutely amazing. When especially it comes to just the HRV, because you would never know and you would constantly feel tired without actually knowing why. And then you look at HRV and like, got to put 2 plus 2 together at some point of time here.
Correct. These little tools are fantastic. Tracking is great only if you know how you're going to use what you're tracked. If it's going to be just fearing or creating fear in you, that's not good enough. So you need to use the tracking in a particular direction with a particular goal.
It's not fear, it's information.
It's information and what you do with it.
And what you do with it. And when it comes to information, is there something that you track financially as well?
So when it comes to finance, there's one number that I always track, which is my credit card bill. So I have a certain amount of money that goes into my wallet. That same money comes out and goes back in. Now nobody really spends cash, so that stays the same. But the credit card bills fluctuate. And I know if I can manage to keep my credit card bills low, I have more money to invest and use. So that is the way that I actually track my finances. Investments, I don't track as much because I know it's automatically going to go from my account every month at a particular time and a particular amount. So I don't necessarily worry about that. I track my spending because that is where the whole ball game starts.
It's always, as I say, it is not fear. It's information. And you need to treat it like that and not let fear get the best of you.
And with that, you've been watching The Compounding Mindset with Axis Mutual Fund. Now, there's something that we track as well, our subscriber count. If you enjoyed this, remember to subscribe so we know and you know when the next episode comes out.
And let us know about the one habit that you track in the comment section below.
Everything we spoke about today, whether it was choosing fewer habits, layering them smartly, or making peace with the boring stuff, has one thing in common. It's exactly how compounding works in investing. You pick the right investments, just like you pick the right habits, and you give them time to grow. You don't keep pulling your returns out. You don't keep chasing every new, shiny opportunity. Because just like with habits, if your energy, your money, your attention is diffused, nothing really builds. Think of your habits as deposits into your personal growth account. Every workout, every consistent choice, every focused period of effort is like earning interest. Leave it there. Let it multiply. Over months and years, those small, seemingly ordinary actions add up to extraordinary results, just like wealth does when you allow your investments to compound. And the secret? Patience and consistency, not the glamorous overnight success that we are sold, but the quiet, steady work that is so boring, it is powerful. The dal khichdi of personal growth. Compound your actions, don't compete them against each other, and watch how both your life and your investments transform.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.